Hello and welcome to part 1 of how to create a regional database. In this section we're going to look at setting up the nation and filling in all the details to give you a perfectly working basic nation named after your chosen county or province or state or whatever you decided to do for your regional database. So let's get right in on how to do these things. I've already opened up the editor and now I need to load the database. Of course I'm selecting the most recent one here for FM12. Just wait for it to load up. Okay, there we go. The first thing we're going to need to do is to actually choose a nation to overwrite. This is very simple. I prefer to use CAS, the Commonwealth of Independent States. The other one you can overwrite is pre-1922 Ireland. For my example today, I'm going to be using Hampshire. It's a county in the south of England. There we go, just editing the basic details here. And putting in little things that sort of give some realism to the feel of the database. So, right, once you've edited the first few things, the next thing to do is to look at the capital city here. So I'm going to choose Winchester. Make sure I choose the one from England. We'll deal with nation things later. You see I have enabled how to edit the continent. This is something you have to do, and there's plenty of guides out there. It involves going in and changing an XML file and changing something from false to true. There's plenty of guides out there how to enable continent editing. I'm not going to go into that here. The continent we're going to use is Europe. So we'll just find Europe. Region, I think it's very important here to use one that's relevant. So relevant for me is UK and Ireland. Currency, United Kingdom pound. That's most relevant to this particular database. National stadium, I'm going to choose the biggest one that I know in the area. There we go. Reputation, I'm going to arbitrarily set this at 500. That value, along with attendance, is something that you need to play around with. Maybe use an example from a similar sized country in real life, or whatever you choose to do. I'm just going to set some values here that I think are roughly around appropriate. I think in the future, of course, you can play with these to make them best fit. So that's the basic information added in there, the basic details, and now we start adding more detailed information. These are things that, with a bit of playing, you can fine-tune to exactly what you need. I have found best that 7 years to gain nationality is probably about ideal, and set to cumulative. I'm just going to go through and set all these to the ones that I think are most relevant for a nation of about the size that I'm creating. You can see that I'm choosing the most recent year for these ones. It's not exactly important which year you use. It depends on whether you're creating a database for a brand new nation or one that has existed for a while. For a manager likelihood, I like to set that quite low because I think these places would be very keen to have a homegrown manager, and the patience of the FA will be very, very high. It's not like England where they have high expectations. These nations will be very, very small and quite often struggle. So the best thing to do is set things lots of patience so people don't get thrown out every 5 minutes. I think this area has quite a strong youth growth. This is obviously something you set from your knowledge of an area. Another important thing is European coefficients. The value that I found work best is 0.17. If you copy this down through all of these, that gives you a great little sort of setup of the first team in the top league will go into the main Euro competition, and the second two, depending on when the FA Cup, will go into the minor European competition. So tactical attributes, I very rarely set anything there. Kits and colours, very important to quite a lot of people. So I'm just going to set this one here to something. I'm not being biased here, it's just the only one that I know for the area. Staff and players, this is something that I like to do, is maybe set a legend from the area as the national manager. And a good example is for Links and Humber, I chose Dean Windass, as he is a legend in the city of Hull and generally in the area around Lincolnshire. He's very well known. Rival nations, of course, for my database, this is going to be England. You have to choose one that's most relevant for you. I'd usually go through and set a couple of rival nations to give it a bit of interest. Nations treated as EU. This is something that I don't really use for any of my regional databases, but if you wish to treat a nation as EU, you can add that in there. And again, non-foreign is something that I don't use for regional databases. But if you choose to have a specific nation that you don't treat as foreign, then you can put that in there. I advise against using the parent nation, as that just results in your league being flooded with players from the parent nation, and your players do not really get a chance to flourish. National transfer preferences, I like to set this to the parent nation that I'm taking teams from, and maybe add in a couple as well. And continental transfer, I set that to the main continent. I don't think that nations like this are going to go search further afield than the actual continent that they're on, being as small as they are. The last thing that's really, really important to set is the language. We'll set that to English. If you have obviously a multi-language area, then you need to put all the languages in. Current friendlies, this is something that you can use to help secure some players who may get pinched by other countries or go into international retirement. If you set an early friendly, you can, as a national team manager, secure some better players. So I always think it's a good idea to set one at an early date, and you can find the best date for you in there. I'm going to leave that empty for the moment, but that's one thing definitely to play with if you wish to make the national team fun to play with. And there's nothing else really here that is quite important. We've gone and done all the important things which are on this first page. So thank you for watching part 1 of this video on how to set up a nation for a regional database. Look forward to seeing the next video where we're going to look at the players and getting some players in the nation, and maybe after that do a few more things as well. So thank you very much, and look forward to seeing the next video.